Well, hello, everybody, and welcome to the Unleash Your True Purpose Now Summit. I'm your host, Dawn Hinkle, and we're here to help you thrive in your unique destiny, share your gifts with the world, and consciously create financial freedom for yourself. And today, we have the lovely Dr. Aurora Juliana Ariel with us. She is a #1 best-selling author, the creator of The Quest, and an award-winning author of the Earth 2012 to 2033 series. She's known for her pioneering work in the psyche, for her advanced healing protocols in neuroscience, psychology, and health, and also for developing a life-altering healing system that empowers people to liberate themselves from the bondage of limiting patterns and beliefs that create pain and suffering and sabotage in their lives. Welcome, Dr. Aurora Ariel. How are you?
Doing fantastic. Tuning in here from glorious Sedona and spring in all its glory.
Sounds good. You know, you have done so much in your life to help humanity to come out of suffering and experience lives that are full of freedom and joy and passion. Can you share a little bit with our audience about where your inspiration comes from and how your path unfolded that led you to your calling throughout the world to help people?
Well, it is really the result of this white fire in my soul and this passion to get to the heart of truth, like what's really happening on Earth, what is the cause and core of the dilemmas and why this has been a planet of so much suffering and travail. And so I started very young in my teens with all this, feeling a mission propelling me forward. And I've had amazing divine sponsorship and assistance every step of the way to really uncover some incredible landmark discoveries that I'm excited now people are availing themselves of, and the tools and all that has been brought forth.
Yeah, you mentioned how much suffering has been happening on Earth, and it's like as human beings we have so much potential. We're limitless, really, and yet we seem to struggle so often and for so long to just feel free, much less to bring our gifts out and to connect with our really true purpose that makes our heart happy. And your work is around helping people to experience a higher and more elevated life, yes?
Yeah, to actualize their full potential. And, it was born out of my own personal dilemma with it all. And as I forged my way, I have found out more and more to help others. And then as people came and found me, I really had the most serious and impossible cases come where people believed things were incurable, unchangeable, or, just something they'd be relegated to for life. And they were. They're life sentences of suffering. But I had this Houdini part of me that would just rise to every occasion, and I would find the way out for them. And this built the different healing protocols and the sacred alchemy work, which then went into 7 steps of the Quest process to help people be freed of all these patterns, these beliefs, these limitations, the overlays, and to reconnect with who they truly are so that self can come forward, which I call the authentic self, and realize that greater destiny and that greater potential.
And what would you say, what's the cause? What's causing all this? You were mentioning patterns and overlays. Can you explain a little bit more about that?
Yeah, it was a very exciting discovery that, like everyone else, I was wading through the mythology of the planet that had tried to make sense of these things. Why do we have what's called a shadow side to our nature when we have these hearts that want to be loving, have conscious relationships, live in abundance, and be in health? And I found in every session, thousands of cases, 100% of the time, that the ills that my clients and humanity are suffering under can be found to be directly coming from the unconscious. So this is something that only now in this time is being brought out for humanity, though some of the indigenous medicine people and others have tapped into it and helped their people. But now it's a wider understanding that we are spirits, we are immortal souls that come to Earth for what's called a soul learning module of how we set it up and what the learning and growth and advancement will have. And in coming to Earth, we take on those patterns that have been traversing our family lineage, the family lineage we're born into, and through our own experiences, these beliefs form in the unconscious that then become patterns that finally become real living movies in our life, and this has caused all the suffering in the world. So it's been an incredibly exciting landmark discovery, and also developing the way to free ourselves through these inner processes and restore ourselves to who we truly are so that we can fulfill that higher destiny. We can bring out our own unique offerings to help this world become, a brighter, more illumined sphere instead of all that we've seen for millennia of time.
For sure. And so it's these unconscious, it's unconscious. So a lot of people, it's like it's in that part that you don't know. You don't know
it until it comes up in the emotional expressions of anger, rage, upset, pain, depression, sadness. These are all coming from the unconscious. And when we're operating from that, because as everyone knows, it just kind of takes over. We can be happy one moment and all of a sudden we're angry. We get triggered by others and life experiences, and now we have this whole emotional thing we're in, and we're believing that's us and that's us feeling it, which is a mythology that I'm excited to correct, because when that is occurring and that emotional stuff comes up in our response to life, that's our opportunity to heal a piece of our patterning in the human condition for ourselves, our family, and all humanity. And what's really exciting in this time is so many of us are here on Earth to do just that. And it's really a sacred offering to a planet in this time, and unparalleled in what's been being seen before and through the histories of humanity. There are literally millions of people in a transforming process today that are delving deeply into these matters and freeing themselves to become more fully actualized and get to the heart of, well, who are we really? Are we that abused person, the jealous person, the unhappy person, the angry person, or are we something more? And I found invariably we are something more, and that part of us is intact within us, no matter what we've been through, no matter what we've ever done. That living spirit within us, the indwelling spirit, is pure, is innocent, is wise, is illumined, is peaceful, is calm, and clearly directed under a divine plan rather than the programs that run from the human.
Wow. And it's just been that your work has been to help people deal and manage with these patterns as they come up, correct?
Yes, and to do it gracefully. And, in the beginning, I was in the throes of it, and I was thinking, no, this didn't feel right. And for a while, I became a master at spiritual bypass, which I think a lot of people do because we don't want to feel all that, and we don't want to be negative and be that angry person. But the suppression of these things cause illness and continues the dysfunction in our lives, whereas facing these things as they come up and really understanding them and then using tools to heal and transform those parts of us which I call inner aspects, and in psychology terms, it's subpersonalities. We have this makeup in the unconscious of many parts of us, and you can understand it when you think of, you might have a part up that's angry, and you're expressing, but meanwhile another part of you is looking on going, oh my God, how embarrassing, what am I doing? So it shows we have many parts of us. And I think the most important thing in this time is we come of age already. We mature ourselves through this understanding, through this body of knowledge that we are illumined beings who came to Earth to have a set of circumstances and experiences to learn and grow and advance ourselves. And within that, there's many illustrious missions that are taking place on Earth today to help better our world. And one of the alchemical keys I give to my students and clients is that when this emotional stuff is running, quickly identify and understand this is an inner aspect. This is not the true authentic self. This is not the truth of who you are. Be compassionate and loving with all parts of self as they arise, because that's the only way you can actually work with them and get the answers you want from them. Otherwise, they'll recede, or you'll feel ashamed, you'll shove it down, or you'll do a meditation and float away from it all, and yet it'll be back again and again, revisited in more and more emotions and more challenging episodes in your life, challenging relationships, health issues, and financial and more. So this one alchemical key that I bring in as the first step in the Quest 7-step inner transformational healing process is where you gain that level of mastery in the whole mess of it. So you're going along, you're overcome, let's say you're just heartbroken, and you know, you just want to get into bed and hide yourself under the covers and mourn whatever loss it is. But instead, we can very simply start putting our hands on our hearts and bring loving attention to that part of us that is hurting, because that aspect's going to be from the past. And whatever it's getting triggered by in the present is really just activating it, so now our souls have a chance to deal with it, to address it from a more mature level. And if we're wise and masterful and we are understanding what I'm hoping to share with everyone I can so they can have this understanding, we'll know it's time for healing. We'll know that everything's working perfectly to bring it up at this moment in time so we can resolve it finally and heal ourselves and heal it in our family lines, because these patterns just run through all the family lines.
Generation to generation.
Yeah. And when we do that, you know, when we do the inner healing work with it, we are immediately restored to who we really are. And we've laid to rest caverns of sorrow and pain and things we've carried and our family has carried forever. And so it's an incredibly freeing and exciting inner journey that takes us to the heart of the matter and what's really happening and why and where it's from. That's why I give 7 steps that are very comprehensive and give you a full understanding of what's going on here. And at the end, that part transforms back to its full potential self and reintegrates so that it's operating on the authentic self level within your psyche. And the magic of that means it's no longer going to be playing out and drawing in abusers or heartbreak and all these things that we've been dealing with. It is healed, and now our future is even brighter because that's not going to be continuing on and then passing down through more and more generations endlessly into the future.
All right. So it's like even you can recognize that you have a limiting pattern or these, you know, imprinted programs that we've got. You can recognize them in what's happening in your life. So if you're bringing to yourself the same theme in a situation, you know, take for instance, someone's going after their career, they want to, you know, move forward into a, you know, really living their gifts or doing their talents, and then something always comes up to sabotage it, or
a certain situation seems to come up over and over. That's how we can recognize, we know that we have a pattern going on in our unconscious that we can become aware about. And in that moment is when we can transcend it, correct? It's using
or heal it. Yeah, heal and transform it. Invariably, because of the human conditioning we were born into and took on when we came to Earth, whenever we go for a dream, when we have a vision in our hearts, when we want to actualize a greater potential, these things must come up. They will come up because we're going to that next level. So everything that's held us in place of where we've been needs to come up and be transformed so that we have that wind in our sails to realize that next level of our personal advancement, of a greater quotient of our true authentic self that can then, give its offering to the world. So to understand this better, it's in my own personal experience, I was born into certain scenarios and things and patterning that caused me to be drawing in all kinds of things and blocks and barriers, sabotage and all that as I made my way. And as I became more masterful in clearing this, I was able to actualize my greater potential. And in truth, what I took on in this life, which is like a major dose of what humanity goes through and suffers. In fact, any one of those major things I've endured, people usually on this planet do not recover from. They do not ever find themselves again. It stains and the wound just is carried forward and keeps reopening as more and more plays out. And to accomplish all that I have and all that's in place now for humanity in this global healing ministry, I had to clear the way through all of this to get to this point. And none of it would have happened had I just stayed with the patterning, suffered under those horrific experiences and the repercussions of them. This would never be taking place today. I would not be here displaying the level of mastery I've attained and being able to pass it to anyone.
Yep. And that's it's a matter of, in your work, giving individuals techniques and ways of managing when these strong emotions or these situations arise that are really deep. They can be very, very deep and challenging. And like you say, to be able to manage them and embrace them and understand that that's not a part of the true you that is always intact. It's not the true you. It's something you've taken on, and you can let it go.
Yes,
and allow your truest essence to be, correct?
Yes, and what's so exciting, one of the exciting things I found is that there's no person, deity, karmic law or anything relegating us to suffering on earth. That has been a complete mythology, and I've been able to break that myth and get to the truth. And the truth is that no one is relegating us to suffering here. There is nothing that's set in stone that we're going to have to suffer and lead limited lives and carry on the sorrows of the generations as everyone before us has done. In this time, we have the way out, and I found it. And I found that when you address what's happening inside of you very quickly, so I always train my students, let's do it within a couple hours here, and never take more than 24 hours to get to it, or it will recede and you'll have missed the opportunity. When you embrace that wounded part of you, one thing is it's so freeing to immediately know I am centered in myself and I am the minister, healer, counselor of this wounded younger part of me. So as you come into embracing that part and take it through the process, that aspect will calm right down and go through the process, because when they come up, they're ready to be healed. So what that means is you can go from deep suffering, great rage, or upset to peace in minutes. Because even the most angry aspects, and most people are afraid of their anger, but if you start working with that part of you that's angry right away, it'll calm right down because it wants to share its story of pain. And underneath the anger is pain. And underneath that is the true, beautiful self that wants to emerge and be free of all this. So when you understand that, you can literally shorten the time of misery in your life and really not have so much suffering. And that's something that's never been known, and so people suffer so much here. They're 8 weeks depressed, they're brokenhearted for 10 years, and believe me, I've been there. I've experienced it all. But it's exciting to see that when you become masterful, which I call it the sacred alchemist, who is the adept in the new millennium, who is a master of their life and destiny and of their psychology. When you practice enough so you become a master of this, what happens is you've shortened so much of the time of misery and suffering you would have endured. You also get to the cause and core, those causal levels and patterns where it all began. You undo it, so you're unraveling, freeing yourself from it. You're freeing that aspect to live in its higher potential, which is in alignment with your highest good and the highest intention for your life. So we can operate in your psyche from that vantage point. And you've healed age-old patterns that might have traversed 15 generations and stopped it here and now in this time. And then what's so exciting about all of it, I found, which was an unexpected byproduct from me just trying to survive life and heal this stuff quickly and get back to who I am so I could be positive and proactive, I found that when you're applying this and living this way, you're actually living in your authentic self most of the time. And I've been able to attain high 90 percentile of the time that I'm in my proactive, positive self, peaceful, happy, content. And when something contrary starts running, I'm immediately on it. And I've gotten to the point where I can heal this stuff in minutes, and others can do it as well. So it's really about us understanding our psychology, and psychology is the study of the soul. So our soul that comes in and takes on all of this and then is wearing it and living it. And what's so exciting is I've been able to cure 2 incurable illnesses in myself, help countless others with life sentences of suffering of all manner and form of patterns and conditions and life situations, and find that life is supporting that there is almost a mathematical equation to when the next piece comes up for us. And when I'm working with people over a year with my students in a life coach counselor certification or total life transformation program or sacred alchemist training, when I'm working with someone over a year and we're doing weekly sessions, that's where I've been able to understand that all life is supporting our soul advancement in this time, and that we'll have the next triggering event just perfectly by whoever do it for us. And that will be the perfect next piece to the puzzle of what we just cleared and the 20 other things we cleared before that, bringing us to the next level of who we truly are. And that is a glorious path of advancement, and something I hope my joy in it and excitement around it can transfer to others so that people can feel good about this aspect of our lives, which has caused so much concern and shame and all of that up until now.
So really it's kind of like part of the purpose of every human being here, which is part of our truest purpose, is to effectively transform all these older aspects that just, they're just not serving the path of a higher expression. So it's actually part of everybody's purpose, truest purpose.
Well, at
and
this
when
time
we,
it
when,
is. At this time it is. I mean, it looks like, from what I can gather, Earth was a learning module around suffering and repercussions and unconsciousness and the dual nature and all that up until this time. And then something really miraculous and uncanny has been taking place that I saw visions of early on in my teens and was shown it, and then has seen the reality of it because I'm interacting with everyone, I'm seeing it. But there seems to be, at this timing, an influx of souls dedicated and committed to help clean up the earth, to help free humanity and the family lineages of the bondage of suffering and this repeat of suffering down the generations, that somehow a different future is in store for Earth, and so many people are compelled in feeling it, and that's why, as we all came in, and we were born throughout the whole planet in every nation and religious background and area, that there seems to be this vision encoded in the hearts of these ones who are here to really turn the tide for the earth. And most important around that is Earth was fast hurtling to destruction. We had nuclear capabilities and the unconsciousness to go with it, and the warring tribes that are continuing to this day. And so we were all born into such unconsciousness. But the world was really different when we came. And the world is very changed because we are here. And because there's this light in our heart, there's this fire in our souls to complete this mission. And so that is changing the very molecules of the earth and the future as we know it.
I'm glad you said that, because it's like we live in a world where we're conditioned to think there's so much violence and so much, negativity, and here's the next thing that you can use to just comfort yourself. And all that just simply suppresses our issues versus going to the root. And I love the work that you do, that it's helping people to realize, no, you can handle it at the root within yourself versus having to seek out comfort.
It is important to understand that we're in the throes of a time of change, and so we are getting bombarded from friends who share their woes to the media to, religious bodies and others that are promoting the worst picture of what's happening on Earth today. And you need only to go on to the daily news to get a big dose of the world's coming undone. There's great dangers ahead. We're living in an unsafe society. Meanwhile, that's not really the reality unless you're in one of the intense zones at the wrong timing. And in the throes of it, there's so many amazing, wonderful things going on that if only there was the good news that would show all the incredible inventions, cures, this whole incredible Renaissance period we're in as people actualize a greater potential and are bringing forth inventions, cures, new architecture and archetypes, music, books, films, audio of a transcendent and uplifting nature. And we're literally getting flooded with all this beneficence in this time. It is a time of a great awakening. So I think it's really important for everyone not only to be doing the inner work as their issues arise, but to be careful, very careful about ingesting too much of the negative to where, you could get lost in this feeling that all is bleak. Why even try? Why do anything? Because it's all going to hell anyways. And there's enough out there that says we're fast hurtling to, ultimate destruction. And there's so many people that believe that. And yet I have been able to see that while we have a lot of dire potentials, and I've seen that since my teens, that yes, humanity and the world was fast hurtling to a lot of very dark and destructive potentials, the very fact that there's so many of us on the planet wanting to make a difference in this time, who care to heal ourselves of these past patterns and beliefs and actualize a greater potential so we can bring out our unique gifts, that's factor in itself. When you see that that's millions of people working and focusing on positive planetary change, creating businesses, incredible endeavors, projects to facilitate that, and a great many people working in the old systems to up-level them, and also others that are bringing healing to the needy and those that have fallen under that whole wave of distress and suffering. So the very truth about it is our world's in a change. What channel are you going to be listening to? And if you listen to the dark news channel, are you going to be able to actualize a greater potential? Are you even going to have wind in your sails to do it, or are you just going to want to cover yourself over and reach for the first comforting thing that'll bring you into an oblivion that you can find?
Yeah, boy. And it's, taking back from what you had spoken of earlier, it's all of life is actually supporting us. So even all the, the seeming evil and all these horrendous events that are unfolding, that we can even, in the midst of that, it's our work to be able to just go within ourselves. And I think you were speaking in one of our conversations prior of people being able to recognize that going within themselves is the safe place. And it's from that place that we can move forward and go out into the world and make it better, a better, safer place, so that it automatically kind of overturns all the evil that's happening. But everybody, in order to do it, has to transcend and has to transform all the limiting patterns within themselves in order to do that. But there's tools to do that. And instead of going for the comfort or reaching for the comfort, it's about reaching for the tool in that moment. And like you said, if people have to do it in a relatively short time frame, right? Otherwise it'll just revert, or, the moment's past, the moment that we have available, that you were saying, to just use the tools that we have and take the time, transcend it right in that moment, transform it, embrace it. And then from that, you restore yourself more to this authentic self that is empowered and it's loving and it's unique. And it's exactly what the world needs. Like it's to help people. Is there anything, what would you recommend for people to help them through this time of so much darkness? Is there a centering thought? Is there a specific, other than the tools that you're already saying before, but what would you recommend to people who are feeling, oh my God, the world just feels so dark. Everything feels so dark. And what difference can I make in this world?
One of the things that's important to understand is how, let's just call it the darkness or the immense challenges or the evil we face or the bad people, they are actually a gift in that they move us in a way nothing else can. For instance, think about all the great people in your life. They're loving, they're kind, you feel nurtured. It's been great. Have you had much movement from that? Have you really, been on, an accelerated little path from contacting that? And then think about when you've gone through challenges. Don't they drive you to the depths of yourself, make you contemplate, bring you deeper? And if you work these cycles right, you can have the greatest soul advancement ever. You can come through it very changed. Just think also of the dark night of the soul. If you're going through a passage that's incredibly challenging and you're getting lost in it and hard to find your way, maybe you've lost everything or facing a serious illness or whatever is that mortal challenge, if you do the inner work at each juncture as you're falling under the weight, as you're becoming overcome, as you're lost in that fear, anger, upset, and heal each piece, by the time that cycle is over, you won't even be the same person. It'll be like you were transported from a deep, dark valley of your existence before to be standing empowered on a mountaintop, more fully actualized, greater mastery, greater clarity, discernment and peace, and a greater compassion for others. So it's one thing that we want to end suffering on earth, but it's another thing to understand in the time we're in and the patterns that are playing out, suffering is in existence still today. Hopefully in the future we will have eradicated it completely and the need to suffer because enough people will have cleared this unconscious strata of beliefs and patterning, and it won't be out-picturing anymore in our world. For now, it's to understand the great growth and advancement we can gain through a challenging passage, but let's not flounder in it and be lost in it and have it ruin and wreck us. We don't need to go to those awful depths with it when we have understanding and clarity, when we're self-loving and self-caring, self-supportive, and when we master these type tools like the Quest tools to clear our way through these cycles. In my life, I've had some of the worst people on the planet do the most horrendous things to my life and devastate my circumstances by their actions. And yet, those dark nights that they drove me into and those horrible things, that gave me the most advancement I've ever had. If those people had not been in my life, you would not be hearing about these advances, the level of mastery you can attain or have these tools. It just wouldn't be in existence. I needed them to propel me into my own darkness and struggle and, you know, everything that it took for me to find a way out. And in finding a way out, I can now share that with humanity. So these things, as challenging as they are, and the people that can just be horrendous, they're behind them. It's like the silver lining, you know, that's a glorious divine intention there for us. There's a positive intention if we go through it in a correct way. And one of the ways is with difficult people, I just immediately go into ignoring the little dance they're doing, and I work with all the parts of me that are reacting. Anger, rage, frustration, heartbreak, sorrow, loss, and I'm healing myself. And I'm using every challenge and every challenging person to my soul advancement. In that way, it's thank you. Thank you, all you bad people, for I could not have reached the mountaintop and the ever mountaintops I keep rising to and bringing others with me without you. So thank you.
So true.
And thank you, world, for outpicturing so much darkness so that we will all get an aversion to greed, to avarice, to genocide, to all of these things that are playing out on the planet. It's because it's broadcasted through media and we're all getting infested with it and it doesn't elude us. We actually know what's happening all over the planet and it makes it seem like we're there too in it. Isn't it doing a great effect? Look at how many of us don't even watch the news anymore. We just try to keep our finger on the pulse of things, but we're not sitting there blindly like our parents did in front of the TV night and day listening to this stuff. We're already moving away from that. Look at how many people have risen up to stand for peace and end war on this planet. Look how many people have stepped forward because the media has showcased a lot of these things and we've learned things in school to stand up for the unborn child, the indigenous cultures, the lands. the waters, the air. And so the dark plays its role. We shouldn't be afraid of it, nor think, it's going to take over and our world's going into a horrible dark future. It's really not true. If it was true, we would not all be here. There wouldn't be millions of us that are undergoing this amazing transfiguration, coming into our authentic selves and bringing out this flood, this renaissance of great goodness to the world. There wouldn't be over 144,000 businesses and endeavors working towards positive planetary change. So it's about keeping perspective and then gaining mastery and an inner support system, to get through it all and to advance yourself in the best way, no matter what shows up.
And that's the work, that's the work of every individual here. Like you say, you empower yourself, and no matter what's going on, it's not about putting the blame outside, but rather saying, what is the situation triggering within me, and how can I seek to resolve it within myself?
Exactly.
And that's the freedom.
And when you do the inner work, especially the Quest 7 steps, it very quickly goes away from the present moment. When you start getting into the history and you're understanding the part of you has been in your psyche for a long time, maybe got wounded in childhood, took on, the family patterns or whatever, and you're realizing that part of you is a magnet, has magnetized these people to play these roles, magnetized the abuse, magnetized the abandonment, magnetize the financial woes. And so when you do this work, you cannot be in victimhood anymore, because there really is no victimhood. It really is us drawing in things, and then it allows our soul to undergo and really gain greater understanding through our own soul learning module. And if we start graduating out of these things every time we have something come up to work on and someone appear in our life that's playing a role, we'll just be changing the future daily to a whole different reality for ourselves. And I've seen that over and over again. Abused women, wired for abuse since childhood, every relationship with a mate being abusive until we work together. And as we undo it all, and sometimes it takes, a year through one of my programs, like the Total Life Transformation Program, and yet as we unwire it, unravel it, and that person steps free, all of a sudden they're no longer magnetizing the abuser or falling in love with the abuser when there's 10 suitors and their unconscious wounded self that got wired for abuse equals love, and that whole unconscious wiring inside, or deserving of nothing better and all these things. When you do that work and you go on that journey to heal a major pattern like that would have continued not only to the end of your life, but, passing down to daughters and whoever more, and you free yourself, all of a sudden, I've seen people just completely on different futures than they would have ever had if they never did the inner work. And now they draw in that mate that isn't abusive, isn't alcoholic, is loving and kind, and they are in a whole different world than ever would have been the result had they continue to reap the fate dictated by their human patterns.
I love it.
There's a way out.
True.
Oh, my God.
Yeah.
It's amazing. There is a way out of this madness. It's
absolutely.
To witness it. And, I have years and years of witnessing it now with countless clients and cases. And like I said before, the most impossible ones, the ones where it was thought these conditions and their challenges were unchangeable or incurable. Addicts who have successfully released addictions, youth at risk that were programmed for an awful future that had been in multiple arrests, drug use, even psychotic episodes, all kinds of messes, getting sent home and really just even causing trouble in the home and all the things that I've seen change so fast.
Yeah.
By just healing these things. I've seen people traumatized, and people don't get over those kind of traumas, jump right out of it and be freed in 5 sessions. People deeply depressed be healed in 2 sessions, and then if it's been a long-term or lifelong kind of affliction, then I add in the neuroscience, balance the brain chemistry, and there they are. They can lead empowered lives free of this. So it's really the first time in known history where humanity is able to emerge out of these things that have been life sentences of suffering. Like that old adage, the apple doesn't fall far from the tree. And people have been living that where they just take on where their parents left off and run the same movies. And now we don't have to anymore. We can really live a different reality, a more amazing and illumined way of life and being, healthy on all levels. And it's really a testimony to these times, and it's one of the things that gives me faith in our future, that we are moving into a great future, a light-filled future, and not the dark night that so many prophecies and scientists and others have been proclaiming to the world.
Yeah.
And not to minimize those potentials, but we're clearing out of those potentials. We're choosing a different future, all of us together.
Yeah. And everybody has to do their work, though. It's not just, oh, yeah, we're coming out of it. We're coming out of it because each and every individual is doing his or her work, the inner work, to do it, because it affects everybody. When one makes that leap and is able to break through these things, they are such a tremendous inspiration and coach and support for everybody else to do the same too. And it just spreads. You know, it's like this amazing, just huge spreading of light that I see, and it's very empowering. And we do have the ability and the tools to help ourselves to break through these things, because that is, the world needs what you have to give. You know, each and every one of us has this unique, wonderful gift or gifts to give to the world, and the world needs it. They need you to step forward. They need you to do this because they're waiting to receive it and to work with you and have you be in your joy in giving it. You know, and I say this for everybody who's listening to this broadcast, that it's, you know, the world needs what you have. They need your gifts. And on speaking on that, you brought a free gift, a free offer for today for our show, for our listeners who are participating. And I wanted you to please let them know what you've got. We've got your wonderful 7 steps, so everybody can learn the tools to empower themselves. Yes.
Yes, I'm really, really excited to gift everyone the quest, Heal Your Life, Change Your Destiny. The book has the formula in it and the wherefores and whys of why you want to do it, and some keys to inner peace. And so it's pretty easy to follow along and to journal. You know, I like people to learn by journaling their process, and that way they can make these changes and look back and see, oh, I did that inner peace, and look how my relationship is now. So it's exciting for me. One of my favorite things is the sacred alchemy work, that transforming the baser aspects into the gold of our true nature and helping others to actualize their greater potential. I get so much joy in working with people, and that's why also I didn't want to just only train and certify life coaches and counselors with the quest. I wanted to do a formula so people could do self-counseling and self-healing. And so I created that book, and it's enough in it that anybody can do it, teens all the way up. And so it's easy to apply, easy to understand. And then when you gain ground on it, then a lot of the byproducts of this work I spoke of start becoming a living reality, and you find yourself at that greater mastery, and you find yourself with greater knowledge, understanding, and ability and tools that you'll have for your whole life, and you can pass to others of how to handle anything you'll ever have to face of an adverse nature, and do it with such skill and mastery and use it to your own advancement.
Nice. I love it. So for all of our listeners that are participating in this, you can click on the link on this page to connect with Dr. Aurora, to her website directly to receive your free copy of The Quest, and have these tools to empower yourself and help yourself so that you can make it through anything that comes up in your life. And I also will say, because I know that you love working with individuals as well, and for anybody who's listening to this that is going through a very tremendous and thick, dense, hard time, dark night of the soul, by all means, reach out to whoever your intuition is guided to. If you feel guided to work with a coach, please reach out to get the help that will also empower you through that time, but will empower you to have the tools that you need to, be the self-counselor as well. That's what excellent coaches really are. They help you through a hard time, but they also give you the tools to be empowered to help yourself in the days to come, which I love about your work, Dr. Aurora. And it's just so significant at this time. So significant at this time. What are you up to this year? I think you've got an event going on later this year. Is that right?
Yes, it's looking like a healing in Sedona 4 days, where we're going to be in sacred sites, and it's going to be an incredibly transformative experience for those who feel drawn to come be with me in that. And then looks like Egypt, a similar trip, though focused on the sacred alchemist, out of ship in the new millennium, and off to the sacred sites for that. And really is opening this year to bringing people more on these world tours and to these incredible places where you're not even the same person at the end. So I'm excited to be sharing that, and people can look at my website and see what's available. And also, as you were sharing,
Wonderful.
I really do love working with people who are in the throes of great change, because when you feel like you can't handle things anymore, you're at your end, that's when you're about to make a huge leap. So when you apply the inner work, and I love helping people at this point in time, because when you apply that, the healing technology, and you're in a transformative place, it just brings you to a whole new life. Many times this is opening up even a new life, new way of being, new level of health, new ability in your relationship to flourish.
Absolutely.
Yeah, so definitely I love what you said about people reaching out and not try to do it yourself sometimes when it's really overwhelming or it's really huge. Yeah. It is nice to have that helping hand and somebody's skilled to hold with you. It's comforting, to have somebody who's compassionate, caring, but skillful to hold for you and assist you through the dark night.
I completely agree. We're all here to support each other, and it's there are some really dense moments in this life, to say the least. So, and it really can make all the difference in the world. I'm a complete advocate of working with coaches. I really am. Life coaches and therapists, different just individuals that are really can hold that space with you and also empower you to be able to stand on your own is just a gift. So, and these are the times that we are in.
Yeah, and it's important for us all to support each other. Really, we can move out of competition when we fully understand that each of us is a unique being. There is no one like us in the whole universe. We have a set of beauty and unique skills and talents and ways of being and our essence that nobody has exactly anywhere. And in understanding this and then understanding how the world needs all of us to really show up and get mature here for humanity to come of age finally and for us to give our best selves to the equation, then we want to be empowering everyone around us and be compassionate, be letting, assist our friends, hold out that helping hand, and all of us together will change the world. But it needs all of us. No one better, no one worse, nobody, that we hold somebody else down or we make them feel small or we are in competition and jealous of them. We're not helping the whole thing, the whole change that is taking place right now. We're holding it back. We're holding ourselves and all humanity back. So we want to support each other, love each other, and hold out our hand to each other and empower. And that's one of my favorite things. The more actualized and amazing and illumined my clients and students get, the happier, the more joyous I am because they're going to be flooding the world with gifts. And the world needs it, and the people are waiting for them. And everyone has their field of influence. So there's nothing, to stay in that old way that's been the competitive way on earth up until now. That's one of the areas that our advancement out of that is really going to advance our world forward.
Yeah, when we look at each other as just unique emanations of this wonderful, beautiful light and love that's just here to give from our joy, and everybody has a unique piece of it. There is no, there's nothing that can be taken from us. We came here already full and to give and support each other in giving as these magnificent lights that we are in this world. I love it. I just absolutely love it. It has been such a pleasure talking with you. Thank you so much for coming on the show. And once again, we've been speaking with Dr. Aurora Juliana Ariel. And if you would like to connect with her more, please click on the link on the page, and that will take you directly to her website where you can receive her wonderful book that has changed hundreds of thousands of lives already around the world, The Quest. And also connect with her for any work or anything else that's upcoming in her world and your world too. So anything else you'd like to leave our listeners with today? Last thought or inspiration for anybody listening, Dr. Aurora?
Yes, well, I have some wonderful specials and opportunities, so I'll make sure that you can find them. And just know that you are important. You are important to this world and to this future. And the very fact that you are listening to this interview today means you care, means you're one of the ones that are here to do this transfiguration, this transformation, and come into that greater aspect of yourself where you can bring out your gifts. So have faith, have trust in yourself, and thank you so much for joining us. It's been an incredible joy.
Thank you so much. Thank you for being on board the Unleash Your True Purpose Now Telesummit. And we hope that you have a wonderful rest of your day. And we look forward to speaking with you again tomorrow. Look in your inbox for your next speaker for tomorrow. And have a wonderful day. Take care, everybody.